Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of The Coffee Club. This is episode 9 apparently, and how are you doing today, Thaf?
I'm doing pretty good. I wasn't even sure if it was 9 or 10. It's probably 9.
Yeah, I think it probably is 9 considering the long hiatus we had, but we've been kind of doing it quite consistently recently.
Yeah, we've just been coming over. We've got lots of Coffee Club ideas, lots of films coming out as well, and we've also had some different ideas on where to take the podcast in the future.
Yeah, we might do some episodes of where I feel like we should, because it's mainly just film structure right now, but we kind of want to talk about other stuff as well, and
our lives.
Maybe just our lives and shit. And I feel like people would actually like that. Because obviously, I don't kind of want to kind of put it into one sort of corner. I would like to expand. I don't want to ever talk about YouTube on here.
Yeah,
we've both agreed on that.
You want to expand it into more stuff, like you're not just film. You can expand it into more stuff so it has personality.
Yeah.
Instead of a brick podcast where
talking about personality though. We're going to be talking about one of the films that looks like it has no personality whatsoever. It can't really have any personality considering the amount they've done reshoots and stuff.
Yeah.
So we're talking about X-Men Dark Phoenix.
Yep, the new one that's coming out. You're probably like, wait, haven't they done this already? But yeah, they're doing it again.
Yeah, it's kind of a reboot or soft reboot or a remake, whatever you want to call it.
It is a remake. It literally is a remake.
Because they kind of did it in another film, but it was really bad and it didn't really seem like Dark Phoenix. So the Dark Phoenix is like a comic, a very famous comic.
One of the most famous comics in Marvel history.
Yeah, arguably some people would say the most. I wouldn't say.
I'd say it's the.
There have been some famous ones in the last few years, haven't there? Like Civil War was quite a famous one.
Yeah, but I think in terms of the history behind it, the fact it's been adapted once already, I'd say Dark Phoenix is up there. Like it very much is up there because the stakes that were established and what was done in the comics and in the film were meant to be universe changing, like Endgame. Yeah. It's meant to be X-Men's Endgame. Yeah,
pretty much. But it really doesn't seem to have any hype behind it. Like yesterday,
no hype.
I messaged you being like, wait, X-Men is out in 2 days?
I was surprised as well because it might not, I sound like it, but the film really is going to be really bad. But I've been hyped for it since it was announced.
Yeah, but you're hyped for it because you can't wait to dissect it and call it shit.
I cannot wait to call it shit.
It's like we promise we don't want to hate on films.
We really don't want to hate on films. It's just this film looks hilariously bad from the marketing to what's happened from the whole the setup, the reshoots, test screenings.
It was filmed last year, but then they had to reshoot. Because I'm pretty sure it was done in July 2018.
It was done in July 2018. It was meant to be out last year.
Yeah, December last year.
Yeah.
And then they had to reshoot it because apparently the third act was too much like a film which wasn't named, but it's obviously Captain Marvel.
Yep.
Yeah. And
also the third act could have been similar to what they did for The Last Stand as well.
Yeah. And also the parts of the first act got reshot as well, apparently.
Yep. Yeah, I'd probably expect. Should we just jump right into just talking about the film? I guess so.
I don't really X-Men is one of the things where I've just never. I don't mind the comics, but I've never really been a big fan of the X-Men. So I know the MCU phase 1, 2, and 3 is over now, and obviously it's a bit confusing to the casuals. They're like, is this part of the MCU? Yeah. No, it's not.
It's not.
They'll eventually be in the MCU, but they won't be these characters.
Yeah, it definitely will not be those characters.
This is the final Fox X-Men universe film. Unless you want to count fucking New Mutants.
Which is not coming out at this point. Have you heard this? The news is not coming out.
Yeah, I'm not shocked. It was meant to come out ages ago. But so it's like, I've never really been a fan. So to hear that not next phase, but the phase after the next phase of Marvel is going to be X-Men, I'm a little bit cautious at this point. I wouldn't really care too much if the MCU just ended at the end of Endgame.
To be fair, I think it's going to be like a Logan treatment where people think the X-Men, like how people essentially treat Logan as the final X-Men film, like their Endgame. Yeah. They're going to treat Endgame as Endgame, and everything after would be an afterthought.
But I guess there is a lot they can play with, like the effects after of the world after Endgame and the universe after Endgame.
Yeah.
So it's like I'm not very hyped for phase 4 and 5, and apparently they're going to drop the whole phase thing as well. So apparently they're just going to release films. I've never, just before we get into any of this, I've never really been a big fan of the X-Men. Wolverine or Logan, I liked it still. not the biggest. I mean, it says a lot when Deadpool is your favorite X-Men film because like
it just takes the piss.
Yeah, like, it really does. And I'm not saying Deadpool's a bad film. Deadpool's sick. Deadpool's a 1,
great
really
film.
Good.
Yeah.
But it's still like they really shouldn't be your favorite X-Men films, you know?
Yeah, I would say I wouldn't even be mad if they're your favorite X-Men films because they have the quality and everything. It's a great comedy film.
But I'm saying like Dark Phoenix, the first Dark Phoenix.
You should be like Endgame levels of hype for this film, but you really aren't. You're waiting for it to see how bad it is.
Well, nobody knows what the fuck's going on with the universe because it's so fucked. Yeah. And then I guess Days of Future Past was meant to fix it, but then they fucked it straight after.
No. Days of Future Past fucked the timeline even more.
Oh, well.
Yeah, it wasn't even meant to fix it. They just did that to retcon all the shit films.
Jesus.
Like, no, the reason why that film was made was pretty much to retcon all the shit films.
I saw some like some X-Men stan account was like, oh, it's not that bad that they retconned it. They did it with the Incredible Hulk in the MCU and nobody cared. But it's like they didn't really retcon the Incredible Hulk. They just kind of soft rebooted the character.
Yeah, they just went like, that film didn't exist.
We're gonna like forget about the story, but he's still gonna be that guy, and he's gonna have a little bit of a redesign and a new actor. Like, I guess like. I mean, if I would accept the retcons in the X-Men universe if X-Men was good.
Yeah, exactly, but it's not. It's not. So pretty much, I won't go into too much detail about the entirety of the franchise, but I'll talk about the films really briefly. So it all started, X-Men, it has kind of I'd say a special place in my heart, mainly because that was one of the first superhero films apart from the Raimi Spider-Man trilogy that I watched in cinemas.
Which one was that again?
Which one? It was X-Men.
It was just X-Men, wasn't it?
Yeah, X-Men and then X2. Well, those two films.
It's funny that I say I wasn't a big fan of the X-Men franchise because the first like toys I can remember having as a kid was actually like X-Men toys. I remember having, and
also the animated series as well. I was into the X-Men animated series and the Fantastic Four animated series. They were I'd say they were really good. I've never watched them since I watched them as a kid. They may as well be shit, but I watched them when I was younger.
The only superhero cartoons I watched, because you know me, I wasn't into superhero stuff until
Infinity War.
No. I was.
Well, the MCU Infinity War, but like.
I loved the first Spider-Man films, but then I didn't. And then I saw Iron Man in the cinema as a kid, and the Incredible Hulk. And then I was like a casual, but then I never saw the Avengers when it first came out. And I remember it was a massive thing when I was in high school, and everyone loved it, but I never saw it. And then the first MCU film I came back to watch was like. I think it may have been Guardians of the Galaxy. Guardians. And then I watched Winter Soldier. And I was getting back into it, and then Age of Ultron came out, and I gave up. Yep. And then Infinity War came out, and I was like, actually, this is kind of good. So I went back. So people think I'm like this crazed MCU fan. That it's like, no, I'm pretty skeptical and critical of the MCU. I literally just said I would not care if it ended because, in my eyes. The chapter should have ended. Like, it should have ended.
Yeah, and
it's a fucking money-making machine.
Yeah, and if Fraser's not a crazed fan, you can imagine how crazed the crazed fans are. So it's like
fucking nuts.
Yeah,
man, MCU stands. We can do a whole podcast dedicated.
I literally do this all day.
They
oh
are
my goodness,
the biggest mongos on the fucking planet.
Going on Twitter and seeing some of the tweets, like the one where it's like the Russos did like I can't remember. It was
the
like
Russos ruined the MCU,
or like Taika Waititi did more to Thor than the Russos did. I was like,
I mean, he probably did.
He probably did as a character, but they're mainly talking about the scene saying that they did more for Thor and Loki's relationship. I was like, that's.
I mean,
the Russos killing the mom, killing Loki off was the point. Yeah. That was the point of Thor's character development. They didn't. I think
they're just very upset that Chris Hemsworth didn't have a six-pack in that film.
Yeah,
like,
they were really. Imagine because all the posters like misled it as well.
I watched a good video about Thor in Endgame. We're drifting off it, but it doesn't really matter. Because the X-Men shit anyway. But it was like saying how people were complaining that they were playing off Thor as a joke for the whole thing, but they really weren't that much. If
you hadn't watched Ragnarok, let's say you went from the Dark World or something straight to Endgame, you saw Thor's character arc, you'd say he's like depressed as shit. That's depression.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's how to do it right. But it's like That's an example of a film doing these multiple characters correctly and staying consistent throughout.
Are you doing a really good reverse into X-Men here?
Yeah.
That's impressive. I'm actually impressed by that.
It's like, that's an example of them doing an ensemble kind of film with different character development. Right. X-Men did it wrong, and they did it really wrong. As in, X-Men's the best example of a franchise that's so inconsistent in its quality that it will make people look at it and be like, is this franchise shit or is it good?
Who would you say is the most consistent character in X-Men?
Wolverine, because Wolverine's been in the most, and his character's always been consistent. As in, I remember when Hugh Jackman was first announced as Wolverine, everyone was like, This isn't Wolverine. Like Hugh Jackman, the Music Man, and like a 6-foot Music Man. Wolverine's like a midget, and he's
5'7".
Yeah, but Wolverine's like a midget, like a very angry. Well, I wouldn't say midget.
That's one thing I'll give credit to X-Men universe for. I think they were one of the first superhero films to take a comic book character and reinvent it for a cinematic purpose.
Yeah, and make it decent as well, yeah.
And then the MCU took that and put it on steroids.
Yeah, much. And also like even with Spider-Man, the casting as well, it was like that was well done for the Raimi trilogy. Yeah, it's like with
that's why there wasn't a. I mean, okay, people could be like, "Oh, Batman." People, I've never really been a big fan of the old Batman films. I think it may just because they're old and it was part before my time.
Yeah, I remember watching the one with the Riddler, and I think that's Batman Forever, and I was watching that on TV.
I've never enjoyed them, but I can see why people do. But I just feel like superhero films were never, in terms of popular culture, big until directors and ballsy writers came out and were like, we're going to reinvent these characters.
Yeah, and that's why, as in, I don't like, well, I wouldn't say I don't like, but crediting people like, Kevin Feige from the very beginning, Avi Arad, those kind of people, those people paved the way for superhero films, because back then they were still niche.
You're the first guy on YouTube to ever credit Avi Arad.
Yeah, but
if you guys don't know who Avi Arad is, he's the guy who's behind everything.
Okay, so Avi Arad is a producer. Most people don't really see it as a producer, but he's the one that pretty much shaped the whole old Spider-Man universe. Like Avi Arad
he's still kind of there.
I know, but
he's been told to shut the fuck up.
Yeah, the problem that I have with Avi Arad is that he's a dickhead. He is a dickhead. As in the stuff that he's done, like the stuff like him and Ike Perlmutter did when they were in Marvel.
He's the reason. Well, I love Spider-Man 3. He's the reason Spider-Man 3 was not, let's say,
it was a mess.
By a film standard, not very good.
Yeah,
but I still love it
because it was a mess because of he wanted Venom in, and Raimi just wanted Sandman.
And ironically now, Sony rumors are demanding that they put Venom in Spider-Man 3. It's literally. It's not quite 10 years on. It's just over 10 years, but history's repeating itself. They want Venom in.
You just made me realize something.
What?
History's repeating themselves again because they want Venom in a third Spider-Man film, and they're doing Dark Phoenix again.
Oh my god!
Oh my god!
Does this mean we're gonna? But this is when. But also at that time, Iron Man was born. Is the MCU gonna have another fucking big film like that? We haven't had an Iron Man film really since Iron Man,
Yeah, because even with stuff like Black Panther and Captain Marvel, like Captain Marvel was essentially their Iron Man, but it was a mixture of Captain America and Thor, pretty much.
Yeah, and it was very
like we have because they can't do films. Even like they know themselves they can't do films at that scale anymore.
I feel bad. We're going really off topic, but it's just.
I wouldn't even say off topic. It's
I feel bad for Brie Larson because she seems to just get shit scripts. Yeah. Even in Endgame, some of the lines she got. There was the one line which was "Hey Peter Parker." I like that line, but everything else, it just kind of seems like. There is this ongoing problem in the MCU where it seems that some characters have amazing scripts, but I don't know if it's because they're allowed to go off the script and it's natural.
I think it's the writing for the characters because the writers will understand more characters than others. Like Marcus and McFeely are more familiar with Captain America and Iron Man than any of the other characters because they wrote all the.
And I was gonna say, and obviously Captain Marvel she's not a new character, but this redeveloped version of Captain Marvel is quite new. Why don't they just redevelop her even more in the film? Because this is something now the MCU is going into this phase where the film has the Endgame was the first MCU film
that was not based on any comic
ever, and they nailed it at all.
And they nailed it, yeah,
but
exactly.
They need to now do this with our characters and villains and stuff.
Yeah.
I would say, why not make a complete fresh villain for the next phase.
Honestly, that was one of my first thoughts, because I was like, which villain are they going to use? Are they going to use one of the X-Men villains? But why can't they make a new one?
Like, it's something which is like, I don't know if it's considered taboo, because you never really see anyone discussing it. Why not make one? Just make one.
But I think I would say for film producers, they'll be like, that's taboo. Who the fuck would care if there was a new villain?
I think the closest... I mean, to be fair, you could...
They redefined kind of say
Thanos was a new villain because he didn't have his superpowers. He was super strong. That was it. And sorry, pardon me.
Yeah.
He also wasn't psychic or anything like that. And also he was the reason in the comic books he was a super titan pretty much.
Yeah.
He was just a normal titan, and also his motives were completely different.
Yeah, and so that's a good thing.
They oh god, so much better than what it was going to be. So they completely redefined the characters there, and it's like, it goes back to what we were saying with character, like redefining characters. X-Men started off the phase of redefining characters like Wolverine and Spider-Man with Spider-Man, and then it continued. I guess Captain America got a bit of a redesign in some aspects. But it's like now they need to take the next step and maybe just create one character which is complete fresh off the block. It could be awful, but if they just do one film where it's not even a big film, say it's like an Ant-Man 3, and they make a new villain for that.
New villain, like, be like,
because let's be real, if they make a new villain and it's shit and it's in Ant-Man 3, no one's going to remember it. Exactly. No one's going to care. They can just brush it aside and release 20 more films.
That is the point. So it's
and it's like nobody's going to remember Ant-Man 2 or 1, really, are they?
That's one thing that I think I was going to say that as well, because all the points that you made about original villains, I was trying to think of any X-Men film that had an original villain, but I think all of them were lifted from the comics, kind of.
Deadpool had an original character. It was combination of loads of characters.
It wasn't it?
And it worked.
And it works, that's the thing.
Yeah.
But that's because like Fox didn't touch the script whatsoever. They even tried to shaft that film. Like Simon Kinberg, who's the director of Dark Phoenix, and his like all of his other producers, they really tried to shaft Deadpool as much as possible.
Oh, there's a video about Ryan Reynolds. Ryan Reynolds is one of the pinnacle of superhero films. He doesn't get enough credit because he pushed Deadpool so much, and then the Deadpool is the reason we got Logan.
And these R-rated films are the reason we're getting more experimental stuff.
And it could be Deadpool could be the reason we finally get the first R-rated MCU film.
Maybe, but
whether Disney allow that, I think they may. I genuinely
they could release it under the Fox banner. Because Disney bought Fox, right?
Do you reckon that was in their minds, or do you reckon that won't happen?
I don't think it'll happen.
I don't know.
Maybe since Disney, because people think Disney's one person, but one person in that studio probably thought we could use this in the future.
But why? I just don't get why. I know Disney are meant to be family friendly, but like surely buying Fox, Fox is like has a lot of, I guess.
Like R-rated, like
they have a lot of properties,
franchises. But they have Alien, which is like the most R-rated franchise you can get.
They realised that we're gonna have to start releasing R-rated stuff. Maybe that was a business thing. They know Disney need to expand because they are releasing a streaming service as well, which I know won't have any R-rated films on. Yeah, but maybe in the near future.
They recently bought the entirety of Hulu. So they're going to start releasing stuff on Hulu,
Smart.
So what I was going to say, though, just a very common misconception, is that Disney weren't looking to buy Fox. Fox wanted to be sold. The alternative was Comcast. Comcast is out of the question. Now, what Disney...
Didn't Comcast offer more, though?
Comcast offered more than Disney offered more, plus an extra stuff or extra bonus.
So I guess Fox were like, they actually did kind of care about their properties.
Yeah, they did.
And they were like, we know Disney.
Well, yeah, Murdoch did, but he wanted more money, so he took more money from them.
Okay.
Yeah, because Disney offered more and shares, so it was like, then Murdoch was like, okay, I'll take that one then, and he keeps some of Fox as well. But the problem is that Disney have released R-rated films before. They had Miramax, they had Touchstone Pictures. Those two, when Disney had an R-rated film, they released it under their banners without attaching the Disney name to them, but it was still owned by Disney. They could easily do that with Fox.
Yeah, but the problem is everyone knows the MCU is owned by Disney.
Exactly, so they can't put like the Marvel
weird thing. That they're like, it's not like it's going to damage the brand of Disney. If anything, it would up it. Imagine a Disney Alien film, man. You get what?
I just thought about. I was like, imagine Alien film, like the Disney castle shows up, but it's like an edit of the castle that looks like the Sevastopol or something from Alien. I just thought about, so I was like, oh my goodness. maybe. As in, maybe with Disney owning them, they could finally give Fox the money to pursue another Alien game. I just want a new Alien game, man.
Alien Isolation 2.
Yeah, as in another one that isn't like a Five Nights at Freddy's remake that they've done. But it's like, I hated that sequel so much. But yeah, it's
Back
like...
to X-Men.
Yeah, back to X-Men, because I was going to get really mad about Fox for a second. But so we've had Avi Arad, and he was the guy who pretty much produced the original X-Men films.
Yeah.
The first X-Men film and X2 were probably, I'd say, one of the best superhero films of its time. As in, it had the campiness, but it also had it was a superhero film through and through. You watched that and you thought, superhero film. Yeah. But it's like, the problem with superhero films now, especially X-Men films, and this is exacerbated by the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the stakes need to be higher. Now, the stakes need to constantly be like increased film by film. Like X-Men 1 was just about the X-Men and stuff. It was about like a normal villain. And same with X2, like Nightcrawler was kind of the villain and Mystique and stuff. Then when The Last Stand happens, they pull a Batman v Superman and rush right into the Dark Phoenix storyline. So like Jean Grey's died. Jean Grey, well, spoilers, but you should have watched it by now. Jean Grey dies at the end of X2, right?
I think the reason they did that is because the only film franchise to really build to a cataclysmic event is the MCU.
Yeah.
And I think that's...
Harry Potter, technically, but
that is based on books, though.
Yeah, I know.
So, I think the reason for that is because there's this, I guess, not rumor, but this belief in film that if your series is longer than 5 films, it's going to be shit.
Yeah.
And so that's caused companies to be under pressure to rush things.
And not just rush things, they need to increase the stakes to get more people to watch it. It's happened, you know, the perfect example of this happening, the Fast and Furious franchise. For I've
never watched them.
Yeah. But 1, 2, 3, and 4. The first one was literally like a street racing film. The first one, the second one, third one, fourth one, they were about street racing. When Fast 5 came out, and I will admit, Fast and Furious is kind of a guilty pleasure franchise for me.
Transformers is for me.
Yeah, Fast 5 changed the entire thing of the Fast and Furious. It changed from a street racing film to a heist film. That was probably the greatest franchise tone change ever. As in, since Fast 5, all of them are like complete balls to the wall action, but it's fun. You can enjoy watching them now.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's that kind of thing where studios wanted to increase the stakes. Like, Harry Potter based on the books, they had to increase it. MCU, Iron Man, it started small, and now you had Thanos, and the universe literally ended in one film. And now you've got, you have to constantly increase it.
I am under the firm belief nothing ever in film will ever do anything like the first 4 phases of Marvel. 3 phases. I don't believe that a company will have the balls, have the initiative, have the creative people on board, and the actors, and the perfect casting again, like the MCU did. It was almost like it was freakishly perfect.
Yeah,
like
it's scary how perfect it was.
You can get all these like film commentators who I love, who critique a lot of small problems in the films, and sometimes they're shit. You get For the Dark World, but like it all works, and it's all like a big nice clockwork, Some of the clockworks are a bit fucking rusty and need a bit of oil. And the oil got put on it with Endgame, For the Dark World actually got made into a film which makes not sense, but like it has value now.
It has value now as a result of Endgame. As in, what kind of franchise, what kind of film would do that?
I don't think a franchise has ever been able to make a film
one
which
film
came out
really
9 years ago good or valuable. It's I can't think of any film.
Like I'm even thinking, I can't think of one.
Yeah,
as in,
and I think it's because there isn't another franchise like the MCU.
I'd say X-Men really, really could have been one of those franchises, but they blew it.
I think the reason they blew it is because it's the X-Men, and the X-Men need the other Marvel characters.
I know, but it's not just that as well. X-Men had a head start. They had a 9-year head start.
Yeah.
Well, not even that. When did X-Men 1 came out? I think that was
2001.
Yeah, it was probably that. I think it was 2001 or 1999, but they had like a 9-year head start before the MCU even started.
But also, the problem with that was they were also... Sounds weird because they're completely different films. I believe X-Men may have had the problem of rivaling another massive franchise, Harry Potter.
Not at the time.
Do you reckon not?
No.
I know that might be a complete void point, but like I feel like when there's people struggle to get like normal film viewers, not just people who constantly go like us. Like people, I struggle to get into multiple franchises.
Yeah.
Whereas we can sink ourselves into a load of different shit
because of it's easily available now. You can just go watch everything.
But
now,
back in the day, I feel
you
like
could not do that.
How many times did you go to cinema as a kid? Like every year, I go.
It was like an event when you went to the cinema as a kid.
Event. Like I think 2008. What would I say? I think I would have went to the cinema 3 times in 2008. Can you guess what films?
What came out in 2008? The Dark Knight.
1. Yeah.
What came out in 2008? Well, Harry Potter film came out in 2008.
Wait, did Iron Man come out in 2009?
I came out, I think, in 09.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Well, 2009.
No, 8. Iron Man came out in 08 because 11 years. I think.
Yeah. So I saw Iron Man transform. 2007.
So Transformers 2007, then Iron Man 08 and Dark Knight 08.
Yeah,
that's films you go out as an event to watch them. It's like when I was younger, I remember the one film I watched as an event in 2007 was the Simpsons movie. When that was announced, I remember we as a family were
I never saw it in the cinema.
I watched that in the cinema, and I think it was one of those films when I was younger. It was like, I watched that in the cinemas because I remember we had just a quick anecdote before I go even back to anything like that. But as a kid, we had a whole like club. We had a mini club where it was like people, if your parents went home from school, you got sent to like this club thing. It's literally like, I was going to say the dumping ground, but it's not even that. But it's like that kind of club that you go to. And during the summer holidays, they had a thing where we'd go to our local cinema every 2 days to go watch not 2 days, every Friday to go watch a film.
Yeah.
For 3 weeks or so. So on Friday, we went to watch a film and we had a choice: The Simpsons movie or Shrek the Third. You can guess what people chose.
I saw Shrek the Third.
We watched Shrek the Third in the cinemas.
So how did you see Simpsons movie?
With my family a day after. So it was like,
oh, fucking a mad place by you as a kid.
Yeah,
I was going to the cinema 2 days in a row as a kid.
Yeah,
was like
I was hustling so much. I was hustling so much. I was like, oh, so did you go to the parents like, oh, how did you enjoy Shrek? I was like, oh, it was okay. It was alright.
I thought Shrek the Third was sick when I was a kid. And
I did not like it.
And then I found out it was actually wank.
No, because the only reason I didn't like that film because I'd just come off the coattails of watching Shrek 2. I watched that in cinemas.
I watched Shrek 3 the other week and I was like, holy shit, this is bad. Like, I was like, bad. What the fuck? It is like
words can't describe how bad that film is.
I watched a bit of Shrek 2 last night when I was in bed because I always watch them when I fall asleep, and Shrek randomly popped up. So I was like, fuck it, I'll watch Shrek. And I was like, this is sick. Like this is legit one of the best animated films of all time.
Like, no, honestly, I'd say Shrek 1, Shrek 2, best animated films of all time among the top 10.
I'd say them, Ice Age, Monsters Inc. and Toy Story.
Yeah. All of them are goats.
Nemo.
No, Finding Nemo.
I think Finding Nemo for me would be second.
And even the Incredibles. But we're getting to side. I was going to say
The Incredibles is god tier.
The first Incredibles.
The story. I think.
I'd say no. I'd
would it be
put
controversial to say The Incredibles is the best of all time?
Yeah. No. You know what? I'm gonna say. I'd say in terms of writing quality plus the animation at the time and the characters, and Incredibles is at the top.
The comedy too.
The writing was top notch in that film. But we are sidetracking a lot.
Toy Story, I'd say.
Yeah, I'd say Toy Story. We are sidetracking a lot. We could probably make this into like a full on episode as well, because we really need to talk about animated films. But it's that whole thing about serial escalation that all these series are like a victim of, because you had the reason why the X-Men kind of lost relevancy for a while was because of The Last Stand. When the third film happened and all of a sudden like Jean Grey comes back, becomes Dark Phoenix, kills Professor X, kills everyone, and then like Wolverine kills her.
X comes back as
Professor X. No, you don't see him come back.
He just fucking turns up.
All you hear is his voice at the last thing in the post-credit scene. No.
Oh.
That's a complete reboot.
When does Thingy come
so
in?
now when James McAvoy comes in. So now what happens is The Last Stand got horrible critic reviews and kind of bombed at the box office for them.
Is it worse than Origins?
I'd say no, Origins was worse. Origins is the worst.
Origins 2009. No.
Yeah, Origins had the worst reviews out of all of them.
Origins was the reason they were keen on doing Deadpool, but then they shafted it again.
Yeah, so then they had like
that's when the Deadpool film came into
fruition, kind of like when they had the CG preview in 2010. So what happened was that they had The Last Stand. The Last Stand was really shit and people didn't like it, so they were like, you know what, people like The Last Stand for Wolverine, so let's get Wolverine in for an original film. They had X-Men Origins Wolverine with Will.i.am and what's it called,
fucking weird time.
And it was like Will.i.am
what was
and
going on in the film industry.
And who else was in it? What's that guy? Liev Schreiber, Sabretooth and everything. And then it had Deadpool, and everyone was like, Deadpool? Oh my god, Deadpool, finally.
And then he's not got his
And then
suit,
Deadpool, he doesn't have a suit, he's sewn together and has every single power, like laser eyes and stuff.
I love the first thing that Wolverine or Logan says to him is they finally found a way to shut you up, implying that everyone knew who Deadpool was, like the casual fans knew who.
No, but that's the thing,
and what that meant.
The comic fans knew what that sign, that line felt like such a fuck you to comic fans.
Yeah, it was like, hey, we know you kind of want this guy to be that funny, jokey character who he is in the comics, but we're gonna fucking tell you to fuck off.
But we're not.
Yeah,
he's not a funny character anymore. How about that? You watch our film.
Oh wait, who wrote that? Oh, it might have
one
been
of D&D, isn't it?
It might have been the guy that wrote Game of Thrones season 8. It's almost like character assassination is a part of their fucking whole history book.
Yeah, it's like X-Men Origins Wolverine happened, and also had like the shockingly bad CGI. Like I think everyone's clowned on that scene when Logan discovers his adamantium claws, and you saw how cartoony that looked. Like when he clanged them both together, and then the sparks looked like those flash animations you see YouTubers put on. I was laughing so hard.
I cannot wait. It's the one thing I can't wait, just to see the MCU make the X-Men look visually good.
Yeah,
because we know they'll do that.
So then you've got X-Men Origins Wolverine, and then the series went on a mini hiatus because everyone was like, the MCU just got consolidated. Everyone's flocked over to Marvel, like the other Marvel, the good Marvel, yeah. And now they come back with First Class. Now First Class is a reboot. It's a soft / hard reboot of the entire franchise. 2011, yeah, is that 2011. Also.
I've never watched it.
Now First Class, I'm gonna say I really like that film actually. The director of that film he came off the back end of Kick-Ass.
Is the ending of that film when they are in the airport and fucking Magneto is there?
No, that's kind of weird.
Because that's young.
It's a young one, but it's basically the one they all leave. It's the one where it's set during the Cold War. No, not Cold War. I think it's during the Cold War. It's during the Cold War.
Honestly, I haven't watched it.
So X-Men First Class pretty much rebooted the entire franchise in such a way that they introduced the younger people. So all the younger guys are in.
James McAvoy.
Yeah, James McAvoy, Michael Fassbender, Jennifer Lawrence before she got famous from the Hunger Games. All of these people.
Was this James McAvoy when he was not that popular?
He was relatively popular, but it was like, still.
Do you think he suits Professor X?
He suited Professor X back for the role when you were in First Class.
I saw a Dark Phoenix clip yesterday, and like I've watched parts of these films, and it's like he seems good in them. But then in this clip yesterday, I was like, kind of seems a bit wank
because everyone's given up on the franchise at that front.
He doesn't seem to be Professor X. He seems to be James McAvoy.
Yeah, James McAvoy playing James McAvoy, because I think it's because you're so used to seeing him play such wildly different characters, especially in films like Split and Atomic Blonde and that kind of stuff.
This is a problem when you're an actor who plays so many different roles, because when you finally get put in a role, you're like, this seems weird. Yeah, so it's like, imagine if Will Smith randomly got the role of some weird fucking crazy dude who is nothing like Will Smith.
If you got the role of the I was gonna say if you got the role of the Joker.
Yeah, it would just be fucked up. Like,
and then that would literally fuck up everyone's psyche about him.
Yeah, but to be fair, I also watched a video about Will Smith, and it was like Will Smith has had a few roles in his time where he had to become somebody else, and he was actually really good. I can't remember what it was in, but
I'd say sometimes it's really bad.
Apparently he's only done it twice though.
Yeah, as in people say concussion is, but concussion, I'm gonna say as a Nigerian, that film generally offended me. It triggered me. So,
wait, really?
Well, I wouldn't. I'd say no. I'm not being serious, but like Will Smith's accent triggered me. It was so bad. Will Smith tried to put a Nigerian accent, and it sounded like every white person's Nigerian accent kind of thing. Where it's like, where it was like, oh. Like, I will feed you to the lions, that kind of stuff. Like you have got a concussion. You can go over to the doctor. It's like, oh my god. It's like Will Smith really. It's like when there's disappearing into a role, and there's disappearing into what you think the role's supposed to be, and just not doing it. That's what James McAvoy did with Professor X. I'm segueing again, but yeah, it's like. James McAvoy gets introduced in, and it's interesting. Like, First Class is generally one of the best kind of X-Men films there is, because it rewrites the entire franchise in such a way where you're actually interested in each of the characters. You're interested in the relationship between Professor X and Magneto, like why they change so much. Because in the film they're friends, like they're mates. By the end of it, Magneto goes their separate ways and say, "Oh, mutants need to rise up," and Professor X is like, "Mutants need to stay friends with humans."
Oh God, can the MCU? Why has nobody talked about Magneto going to the MCU? Is he a property they own? He must.
Yes, Magneto's part of the X-Men.
Yeah. So why is nobody? Why is everyone like, "Oh, Doctor Doom"? The Galactus. Why not?
Yeah,
Magneto?
but that's the thing. But the problem is with Magneto. Magneto's too much of a non-villain.
Yeah, but he could be the new Loki.
Yeah, I know, but that's the problem. People don't like him as that because they're trying to do that. They've done that in the X-Men franchise 5 times in a row.
But it's the oh yeah, true. Yeah. I mean, what do they make him into, like?
So what they do is they make him into a villain, and they'll be like, "Oh, mutants are bad. I'm gonna kill all the humans because they're bad to me." And then by the end of the film, they're like, "Oh, no, we're mates. We know we disagree with each other, but we can get past that." And then by the next film, they forget that he's done all of that.
I think the one thing I can credit the X-Men for, and it's probably because they only have X-Men characters, is that they don't kill the villains too often. So with Magneto, for example, whereas Marvel, every time the villain fucking dies,
Magneto, the thing is with Magneto, he's not really seen as much of a villain, and that's mainly due to the fact that he's not really a villain. If every single X-Men villain, I think, has died in one way or that has died.
Well, I'm saying the big fucking dudes,
as in like the big guns, like the big characters. Although when I get to Dark Phoenix, I'm gonna have to discuss a lot about that.
They never had Doctor Doom in X-Men, did they?
That was Fantastic Four.
Yeah,
they killed him in both films.
Yeah. Fucking hell. There was one Doctor Doom scene, and I think it may have been
if it was in Fantastic
when he's breaking out or something. That scene's like, wait, is this the same film?
Yeah,
because it actually was like
I call it Fantastic, but yeah, that scene when Doctor Doom initially wakes up from being there and breaks out of that.
And it's like, wait, is this a different fucking film?
I think this is the film the director wanted to make, because he said he wanted to make a body horror film, because what happened to the guys at the Fantastic Four before they became the Fantastic Four, that could only be described as body horror. So it's like, that would have been great. You just didn't get that because Fox saw X-Men and said, we want to make that. Yeah. And it was like, I don't get it. Like, X-Men, when X-Men First Class came out, I was like, this is decent. And then Days of Future, was it afterwards? Yeah. Days of Future Past came out, and Fox made that film because people were like, The Last Stand is shit. And The Last Stand kind of rewrote everything. So what they kind of had to do, they said, let's bring back the old guys, but let's introduce the young guys as well. So it was a mixture of them both. And when you watch that film, you'll realize the film is decent because it successfully retcons the X-Men films. It's a new branch. It's a new life. Like, Hugh Jackman's Wolverine is stuck in the future with Patrick Stewart's characters. Meanwhile, you've got no Wolverine, but you've got James McAvoy's or younger X-Men that going into their two things. What Days of Future Past did was split the franchise in two. So by retconning the mistakes they made before, they fucked up the timeline even more by splitting them off into two. That's where the problem arises, because how are you going to deal with these two characters? On one side, they dealt with it well with Logan. Like, they gave the older characters a closure. Like, they killed off every single older X-Men and just left Patrick Stewart and Hugh Jackman, and they killed them both by the end of the film, leaving the very young kids to continue. Meanwhile,
it truly was for the good of the realm that Disney got these franchises.
Yeah, exactly. And then on the other side, you've got the younger cast, James McAvoy and the lads. Apocalypse was shit. It was shit. Like, I
can't even remember half of these films coming out, man.
Yeah, like Apocalypse, the hype for Apocalypse was off the chain. Like, if you look at Fox's most viewed videos, the X-Men Apocalypse trailer had
When did that come out?
2016.
Bro, I can't even remember that
because it's very forgettable. But when the trailer came out, everyone was so hyped. It has 60 million views. That was meant to be their Infinity War.
Yo, it does. What the fuck?
The first teaser trailer for X-Men, genuinely, because after Days of Future Past, everyone was like, X-Men is good again. And then the trailer came out, everyone was like, oh my God, they're doing Apocalypse. And it has Oscar Isaac and everyone in it. And it was like, oh God, this film's going to be good. Look how hype it is. The world is ending. This is the Infinity War. You've got Quicksilver. And all of a sudden, you go and watch the film, and the film is really bad. Everything in the trailers has been overplayed. Apocalypse's character, his suit, his speech, his actor, and everything is stupid in that film. And then people realize the X-Men franchise really is shit.
Yeah.
Like, the writing is bad, it's overly long, and let's not even begin about that Wolverine scene, because they realize that no one's going to watch this film. They're like, what's an X-Men film without Hugh Jackman? So first they spoiled his introduction, like they spoiled the scene in the film, because they realized none of the trailers, they did a good job in not showing Hugh Jackman up until the last trailer.
Wait, so why was Hugh Jackman, if they reversed everything, why was Hugh Jackman in it?
Because he's still stuck in the past. So what happens is...
Wait, so that's why Days of Future Past happened?
Yeah. So
Wait. So, sorry for the people watching, I haven't watched the new X-Men films.
Okay, yeah. I'll have to explain Days of Future Past.
Wait. So, the old X-Men from 2002, whenever, is still connected to this franchise.
Yes, it's the future of those guys.
What?
Okay, no.
Fuck?
So I'm gonna have to explain this. You're sitting down right now, but yeah.
But surely, if that's the future of them, these films are irrelevant because you know they're all alive.
Yeah, no, but it's just so hard to explain. So what happened is, I don't know how they did the alternate universe thing, but so all the X-Men like the older ones, like Halle Berry and Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen X-Men, or they were running away from the Sentinels. Now the Sentinels were out to kill all the mutants. They'd already killed most of the mutants. They were out to kill the last of them, which are the X-Men. And one of the powers, I can't remember who it was, a Kitty Pryde. All of a sudden, she gets introduced to a new power. I'm not even complaining, that she can send people's minds back in time to stop everything from happening, so they were never there in the first place. That's her power. So what they do is, to stop the Sentinels from even happening in the first place, they have to go all the way back to the 1970s to convince Peter Dinklage's character not to create the Sentinels as a result of his death, because he's killed by Mystique.
Isn't it?
Yes, he's in that one. So Peter Dinklage's character, he's one of those characters that's been in both X-Men, the MCU, and Game of Thrones and stuff at the same time. So what happens is, the film, Peter Dinklage's character, I can't remember what his name was. I think it was like, I can't remember what it was, but he was creating these Sentinels. These Sentinels were like big robots that were used to regulate all the mutants, and the government, and he was going to the government with them. In the film, the government laughs at them. They calls them stupid, calls them an idiot, and he goes away. And he's murdered by Mystique in that timeline. So he's murdered by Mystique, like shot dead. This causes the government to move on with the Sentinels and create them, which causes the Sentinels to start killing all the mutants and all the humans as well, which leads to the whole beginning
that would be such a dope MCU film.
It is.
It's going to be like the Winter Soldier.
Like, Days of Future Past was genuinely, the beginning and the setup was so good because of that. The Sentinels are there to kill the last of the X-Men because they've gone rogue.
The whole concept is sick. Like, so I love the Winter Soldier because it's like, my favorite superhero films is like when
it's low key,
when
like
the good guys are considered the bad guys by everyone, but you know they're good guys. Yeah. So like when Captain America's gone rogue, I love that shit because like, you know he's a good guy with good intentions, but he's not afraid to go above the law. Yeah. And I love that shit, and like it's always the best sort of film because it has such a conflict there. Yeah. And because films aren't good if there's no conflict in terms of like, if the only conflict in a film is there is a big evil guy that wants to end the world, that's boring as fuck. I've seen that a million times. Yeah. I want a film where there's emotional conflict and real things going on.
Grey morality instead of black and white.
People will say, well, Thanos is this big dude wants the end of the world, but Thanos worked because there were so many stories and factors keying on it.
And even then, it was a grey morality. He thought he was the hero of his own story. He was the hero of his own story.
And it wasn't just like, I mean, it also worked because, you know, he did win. Yeah. Like if don't get me wrong, if there was a film where this guy wanted to take over the world and he actually did it, that would be fucking cool. Yeah, and it'll be like, now what? I would love that to happen. That is the reason that works is because it never really happens. Like you never really.
It's rare. When people see it, they'll be like, "Oh my god, it's actually happened."
The snap at the ending, I genuinely didn't think it was gonna happen because I knew about the Infinity Gauntlet comic and stuff, and I genuinely didn't think Disney would have the balls to do it. Obviously they did. Yeah. And I didn't think Disney would have the balls to kill Iron Man either or get rid of Cap. Like, that's actual times where I can credit Marvel and Disney for like, okay, you've got some level of balls, even though it's probably because they didn't want to sign another contract.
Yeah, and they don't want to be in more films, and it's too expensive to keep them anyway.
Yeah, very expensive, but it's nice to see when there's actual conflict. So Days of Future Past in the MCU,
the beginning of it, and if they were in the MCU, it would be decent. Yeah. Like if Marvel could do something alright with it.
How the X-Men will get introduced will be a story of when people are turning, because they've never done. The one thing I liked about the DCEU is when people started to turn on the heroes. On the heroes.
The only time that they did this in Marvel Cinematic Universe, which couldn't even be considered canon, is Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And they did it really well.
And it also in Iron Man in the Middle East when they were
and also in Age of Ultron in the very beginning when Iron Man's remember when his bots came in and said there's no problem.
And I guess people are sick over Zemo and stuff.
Yeah.
But everyone to turn on, people would be like, are these heroes? And I think that would work well also when Oscorp possibly comes in.
Yeah, exactly, because it's the great morality where Oscorp will be like, these guys, they're not good. Are they good or not?
And that's what the MCU needs. The MCU does not need... It sounds weird because it kind of feels... People keep saying, it's cool that the MCU is now going to go cosmic. MCU's been cosmic since 2014, really.
Yep.
If anything... kind of bored of the cosmic shit, and I know we've just got the multiverse coming in and stuff, and you can still have the multiverse and you can still have grounded films. I just feel like we need more grounded conflict based films rather than big space battles, Captain Marvel blowing up spaceship. It's like you've seen it once, you've seen it 3 times, you've seen it
a million times. You've seen one, you've seen them all.
Why was Spider-Man so good? Because it had a grounded villain who had an actual emotional connection.
Yeah,
who you could understand what he wanted to protect his family. And he was like the final scene of in the plane when he's trying to steal them things from the Avengers base.
Yeah, he wasn't trying to.
He's doing that for his family,
and he wasn't trying to. He wasn't trying to go to do that to take over the world. He was just doing that. He wanted to do his job.
Yeah, he was protecting his family.
Yeah,
and he said to Pete he kind of respects him in a way. There's a respect base between the villain.
And he didn't disclose Pete's real name and everything in the prison in the post-credit scene. But that's the one thing Fox had over the MCU. Fox's X-Men films were interesting because they delved into the politics behind hating the mutants.
Look at Logan.
Yeah, they helped. They looked into why people hate mutants so much. They're like aliens. It was like those films did it well.
Do you not think Logan is such a freakish film because there are all these terrible films and then randomly they just spewed out gold?
Yeah, and it's from the direct. And I was going to bring up the Wolverine as well. I completely forgot that film existed. So
X-Men Origins Wolverine.
No, the Wolverine. There was another Wolverine film, that one was good up until the last third. That was 2013. So before I get to that,
when the fuck did that come out?
The 2013.
I didn't even clock these films. Well, that shows how disconnected from superhero films I was.
But so with Days of Future Past, the timeline was that the Sentinels are there. So now they have to go back to the 1970s to the James McAvoy Professor X era to tell James McAvoy to tell Mystique to man the fuck up and don't kill this guy or else we all die.
Yeah.
Professor X would normally do it himself so that he can convince them, but he can't survive the trip. It's their brain and their mind being transported back. So Wolverine is the only one, since he had adamantium and he can't die really, he's the only one that can survive that trip. Yeah. So he goes all the way back to the 1970s. His mind goes all the way back. He basically, his body goes back to the 1970s. It goes back several years. And he now has to convince Professor X to take up the mantle as Professor X again. That's why you get introduced to the Beast as well. So you get them to take the mantle of Professor X again. He needs to get him to convince Mystique to not go on her crusade to kill all these humans for harming the mutants and stuff, and they need Magneto for that because Magneto also he clicked with Mystique back then. So after all this happened, they have the whole thing Magneto turns bad and everything. They have the typical this, that, and the other, and by the end. At the end of the film, the X-Men, the old X-Men are all dead. The old X-Men are all getting killed by the Sentinels, and the Sentinels are about to kill Professor X, and Mystique chooses not to kill the guy, which causes the timeline split.
X-Men stories are so fucking good. Arguably better than MCU
Yeah,
stories.
They're so good, but they don't do anything with them.
So much better.
Yeah.
I would, if they did Days of Future Past and Dark Phoenix well, they could be better than like Endgame and the
Yeah, they could have been, but they're not. That's the key word.
But I'm saying like, the MCU now. How lucky are Disney to get like you've just ended this massive franchise,
and now you got another
you're doing
one.
Your part 2. Oh, we've just got this massive chunk. Like that doesn't just affect that doesn't just mean they've got these cool X-Men films and Fantastic films coming in. That's gonna affect all the other films so much as well, because they can do so much more now.
Exactly.
And they can even use the phrase mutants. I'm really intrigued to see how they introduce
mutants.
I think
it's gonna be House of M.
I think they could bring back Hydra.
Because Hydra is still a thing in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah. And I think Hydra, in something to do with Sokovia or in general in Russia, with how Bucky and Wanda
and also Wanda as well. She's the one who created that rewrites the universe to have mutants with the House of M and the No More Mutant storyline. Yeah. So she could be the one to do it and everything. The thing is, with a show like that, not a show like that, but Days of Future Past basically rewrote the entire universe. So now, at the final climactic fight scene, Wolverine is impaled by a bunch of metal by Magneto and thrown into the sea to drown. So he's stuck in the state of forever drowning. But as a result, he saved Mystique. Mystique saved the guy, which caused the future to split into two. So Wolverine is now stuck in 1970 on the water. He gets rescued by Mystique, who's disguised as someone else. So now, this is it's so hard to explain this. So in present day, so before Wolverine went back in time, Wolverine wakes up in another timeline with the Patrick Stewart with Patrick Stewart cast, and Jean Grey still alive and everything. So
this all works very well for Marvel. Now they're just kind of brought in the multiverse, because they can now do these storylines, but do them well and do them properly.
So let's say Universe 1 is Wolverine waking up in present day with all the old cast members, Jean Grey being alive, all the people from that were killed in The Last Stand are alive again. He rewrote them successfully, so he's in his own future. That future leads to Logan. So it's all
weird.
there.
It's weird, like when you speak about this and like even these terrible films, you make them sound good. Like the storyline and plot.
No, honestly, Days of Future Past was good. That's why people were excited about Apocalypse, and then Apocalypse turned out so shit.
No, Days of Future Past was rated the best one, was it not?
Yes, people say that's the best one.
Yeah. But I'm saying like even the shit ones you're making sound good, and it's like it's weird because like they realistically they probably should have all been good, and I think they maybe were just unlucky.
On paper, the way I'm describing it is I'm kind of bigging up these films because they could have been good.
I think they were unlucky to be created during a time where corporations had full control,
and they didn't know anything about superhero films.
Whereas now, if you're producing a superhero film, your directors and your writers usually demand full creative control,
or almost full creative control.
The only franchise I would say which don't have full creative control is probably Spider-Man.
I say Spider-Man to a point. As in, I read about this really quickly, just about directors, but there's only 6 directors with a couple of others that actually have full creative control of every one of their films.
And
it's all
I can't pronounce his first name.
No, it's not Taika Waititi.
James Gunn?
No, I don't mean in superheroes. I meant in films in general.
Really?
In the entire film industry.
Show the Russos.
No.
What the fuck?
As in, it's because they're lucky to be given that by Disney. In any other film company, they'd still be hard
guessing
pressed.
Christopher
Nolan, Tarantino, Ridley Scott, and Steven Spielberg, and something. They have the right
Spielberg hasn't made a good film in
but that's the thing.
20 years.
They still have the right of first refusal, which means they have full creative control, even down to the age rating. They don't need to cut shit out of their films.
Oh jeez.
Yeah,
I guess
it's like only a few directors. Only a few directors in the world have that privilege.
It's crazy they have that trust. Even Spielberg still. So when was Spielberg's last good film?
I'd say the last decent film he made was actually the BFG, which came out in 2016, but no one watched it.
Yeah, I didn't.
Exactly. No one watched it. It flopped. So, which is why Disney are like, they're kind of wary about that kind of stuff. But that's the thing. Corporations control films so much that it's like you see these films suffer as a result. Like I've just bigged up Days of Future Past for you. Like in the present timeline, you got Universe 1 that ends in Logan, but now you got the old Wolverine. The old Wolverine is stuck with the young cast, like all those people.
Even Deadpool doesn't have full creative control. There's a lot of jokes that get cut from Deadpool.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I would say Deadpool is probably the freest franchise.
It's the freest franchise because they don't even worry about continuity. You see a cameo from the young cast in Deadpool 2.
Yeah.
So it's like, because it was funny because they were shooting Dark Phoenix at the same time. That's testament to how Dark Phoenix is such a messed up production schedule. Like, Deadpool 2.
Wait, so did they just be like, hey guys, you want to quickly feature in this film?
They were shooting Deadpool 2 around the same time as Dark Phoenix. When Dark Phoenix, they had the X, like Professor X's like mansion and stuff. They shot in the same one as they shoot in the X-Men
films. Is Deadpool
films.
In the X-Men universe?
He is. So he constantly makes meta references, but he's above it. He's technically the most powerful one there because he's above all the humor.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and he can't die. So
yeah, I mean, they're pretty. It's interesting. We should cut off on a film. I want to get onto Deadpool and stuff.
Yeah.
But is there any? Because we have been speaking about Dark Phoenix, but I think it is a thing where you have to discuss everything around it.
Yeah, I had to. Because the problem is I can't talk about Dark Phoenix and the production, and not just until we've seen it, but until I have to give context as to how they got here. Like,
yeah, because people if people who don't really care about X-Men are watching this, you probably not at this point, but it's like they have been making this film for so long.
They've been making this.
Must be the longest production for a film.
This is the longest production for a film because it was so messed up. As in, not even I said the New Mutants in this film were probably the most cursed films because the Disney acquisition did fuck things up for them as well.
Good.
So it's like we can't, because Dark Phoenix, I think for Days of Future Past I've explained everything. I've explained most of the stuff that's happened, and then Apocalypse was really shit and they shoehorned in Wolverine to get bums and seats. But we go into the production of Dark Phoenix and there's a big problem.
Please don't say Wolverine's in this film.
No, he died in Logan.
Yeah.
I
know, but we say that, but come on, mate.
No. To be fair, I'm going to be real with you. I did read a couple of the things they said about production of this film, and even none of the actors really don't have any faith in this film. Everyone has given up. Everyone's given up on the franchise.
I'd give up if Sophie Turner was in my film because she cannot act for shit.
Yeah, as in the problem that is with the Dark Phoenix is that they went. So
Sophie Turner is the Dark Phoenix.
Yes. So when her powers were first shown in Apocalypse, everyone was like, "Oh God, they're gonna do Dark Phoenix again, aren't they?" From what they did in Apocalypse, and then the production of the film got announced, the director got announced, because you know how the whole thing about Bryan Singer came out and he was not coming back for this film, even anything, because of the stuff that he did. Like, yeah, big nasty allegations, which are actually true. But then, so Bryan Singer left the production of that film, and in comes, I wouldn't say left, but in comes Simon Kinberg. Simon Kinberg, who I've mentioned before on this podcast, has been notorious for fucking about Fox films. He fucked about with Deadpool. He fucked about with Deadpool in X-Men Origins Wolverine. He takes credit for Deadpool being made, even though he kept shafting the film with Fox throughout the entire production.
Jesus.
The film that he has never directed a film before. This is his directorial debut. This is his first film as a director.
They gave him the biggest X-Men story for a debut.
Yeah, and the reason why they did this is because he wrote The Last Stand. He wrote the shittest film in the franchise beforehand.
Writing and directing are two complete different concepts.
I know, but that's the thing. So he wrote The Last Stand, but guess what film he also wrote? It's also by Fox, and it's really bad.
X-Men, right?
It's not X-Men, but it's also by Fox, and it's bad.
Give me a clue.
We were literally talking about it.
What?
It's one of the X-Men. Well, not X-Men. It's a Marvel film and it's by Fox.
It's a Marvel film and it's by Fox. Wait, I'm gonna guess this. Can I have another clue?
It's body horror. Remember, I mentioned it. I literally mentioned it.
Yeah, my mind's going completely blank. Fuck, we did. We just said it. Fucking Fantastic.
Yep, he did the Fantastic. He did the Fantastic Four 2015 film, and the writing and the production of that film was such a mess. So Fox decided, let's give him the biggest X-Men franchise for our film to cap off our entire franchise.
We're not even really in the golden age of superhero films, are we? Because we still have these sprinkled little fucking cancers around.
Yeah, so
it's like legit. Like there's like so much pieces of shit lying around. Like, yeah, we did just get the greatest superhero film, Endgame, arguably. But there's still the DC. I mean,
DC hasn't found its feet. It's picking up, but it hasn't found its feet.
Well, we'll get into that in a minute. Cause I want to talk about Deadpool, and I want to talk about DC briefly. But yeah, it's like there's so much sprinkles of shit right now.
Yeah, exactly.
We need to we need to
you
make
need to make it so it's a
good.
full golden age. I'd say the arguably golden age was the 2008.
I think 2000. I mean,
2007 to 2012.
Good films there.
Yeah, because then
Iron Man, Dark Knight.
Iron Man, Dark Knight, well, the whole Dark Knight trilogy, apart from Batman Begins. You had the consolidation of the MCU up until Avengers. You got all those films coming out. Those were good at
Mind
the
you,
time.
I'd say 220. I mean, we say that, but like 2014 Winter Soldier, Guardians of the Galaxy,
Days of Future Past as well, which is good. And Wait, when did Deadpool came out?
2015.
Yeah. I'm just watching you just dying. I haven't even had the drink yet. But yeah, so you had this, and now you're giving him...
Do you want to know what I just did?
What happened?
I burped, right? And, you know that I had them spicy chicken wings earlier?
Yep.
I burped, and a little bit came up, right? And it landed at the back of my throat.
Oh, God.
And I think it went, you know where your uvula? I think the spicy bits went on my uvula. And I like died. I used my eyes water. Right?
Yeah, I know. I saw your face just change.
Oh, bro, that was painful.
Yeah.
My throat just started burning.
Never giving him chicken wings again.
They were nice, to be fair. Where are we at?
Yeah, but so you've now given him like the biggest franchise ever, and the production of the film has been a disaster. I even said, remember back in January when I screenshotted you, I said, screen cap it, this film is going to be shit, look at this. Yeah. And I showed you all the tweets from people in the test screening. So every film has a test screening to quick audiences. The only examples are like the super big films, but they normally have a test screening to just a few people, like friends, family, sometimes like a private screening to like a room of people.
Yeah.
And they give notes. Like nothing's finished about the film.
Sometimes they do this thing where they read the script together, and then sometimes they invite loads of random people in, and sometimes these random people then go and leak all the information to the script,
which is what
sometimes it happens in the season 8 of a certain show, and sometimes these leaks are all true.
Yep.
Sometimes my worst nightmares come true.
Yep, exactly.
I've never really understood private screenings because it is the only thing where leaks really happen.
I know, but that's the thing. They want them to see, like, they say, oh, let's invite the general audience who doesn't know anything about films to come in and watch this film. If they enjoy it, we've got something about it. They dare to watch the film.
Bring in 5 journalists, get them to swear under fucking oath, which they already do, but like get just 5 journos, get them in, 5 unbiased journos and who are good with films, and then get them to watch the private screening, not invite their friends and family, because these friends and family are going to go fucking blab their mouth to loads of people.
But that's the thing, they already do that, and even then journalists were clowning on the film. It was the...
Yeah, but that's fair, but I'm saying for secrecy reasons, in anything, not just film, TV shows, it's so weird that in the modern age and such high security we have, things are still getting leaked. Full seasons are getting leaked. Season 7 of Game of Thrones, half of it got leaked, man.
Even the Russians leaked the actual video of it before the broadcast.
It's fucking nuts that these companies at HBO cannot fucking secure their servers or whatever. And I don't even know if it's that. I don't know if some random dude working at HBO just gave a USB stick to some random...
And then he just like an evil grin on his face. It's like, no, everyone will know about that.
Maybe for HBO, HBO, there was like a dude who was like, fuck me, this is shit.
Everyone needs to know about it.
Here you go, internet, here you go.
Yeah.
It probably was that. Like, what's stopping somebody? It's not going to harm the rest of the show.
It was
someone fucking ended.
It was someone during the script reading looking at various actors' reaction and saying, yep, this is really bad. Everyone needs to know. Probably that. But it's like they have a test screening with normal people of the audience, mainly because they want to see, like, you know, how they think of the film. Like the VFX isn't finished. The music isn't finished. There's no music composed at all. They just watch the film as it is and they look at it because it's the film as it is. It's like
the first test screening for Dark Phoenix was July 2018. Am I right?
Yeah, July 2018 too, and then there was another one in like December 2018 as well.
And they got
clowned. I showed you all the screenshots of what happened.
I remember the one in December.
Yeah. So when you have like a test screening and stuff, it's like a YouTuber showing you like a clip of their YouTube video on their Premiere timeline without anything on it apart from the video itself. And when they showed it, now, there's a plot point. The film hasn't come out yet, but the directors have done all they've can to spoil it because of what happened in the test screenings. In one of the most pivotal scenes, well, I wouldn't say pivotal, but one of the scenes in the film that's very pivotal to the rest of the plot, which happens near the beginning, is the death of a main character. and the death of this main character is as a result of helping. I'll probably spoil it. You should probably cover your ears in the next 10 seconds and uncover them. But Mystique gets killed by Jean Grey in this film. Now, she gets killed towards the beginning. Yeah. If this wasn't bloody obvious by the trailers, then I don't know what to say. But they kill off Mystique and everything, and the audience laughed.
Yeah.
The test screening audiences laughed their asses off when the scene happened. It's not meant to be funny. It's meant to be a really sad scene. Like, Jean Grey kills Mystique and then sends Quicksilver into a coma. And it's like, you're meant to be like, holy shit. But people laughed. And Fox saw that and they were like, whoa, oh no, we can't have that. So they decide, during the press interviews for Dark Phoenix, the directors already said and come forward that yes, Mystique dies. In the trailers, it's pretty bloody obvious. They have the funeral scene and they have Mystique getting killed in the trailers. And they have really bad acting from Sophie Turner. Like, she's crying her eyes out. That is wow. That is like, wow. Like, she was already questionable in Apocalypse. She couldn't hold up her accent. She couldn't hold up an American accent for Apocalypse.
She was alright in the later seasons of Game of Thrones.
But that's because she can
only
play Sansa
in the first seasons, because obviously she was a kid, so I can excuse that.
Yeah.
I think the one kid actor who was amazing in Game of Thrones, someone we've circled there again, was Arya.
Yeah, Maisie Williams. I knew you were going to say Maisie Williams as well.
You know, Maisie Williams.
But that's because But that's the thing. I've noticed a lot of that because she was in, like, a quick thing. She was in Doctor Who, but every film, I've noticed that a lot of films that she's in, she just plays Arya. Yeah, it's like it's Maisie Williams playing Arya, playing. But
that's the problem. Look at fucking Godzilla. Tywin Lannister's in that.
Yeah, it's literally.
He says, "Long live the king."
I'm gonna make a quick review about it later on, and we're gonna talk about it in another podcast. But it's literally Charles Dance literally plays Tywin Lannister in Godzilla.
Yeah,
it's Tywin Lannister.
I want to see Godzilla. I could probably see it tomorrow.
Yeah, but
I just need to see John Wick as well.
Yeah, but it's like that film is like, it's bad acting, and they had to spoil it because the test audiences laughed really hard. And I've already spoiled that. People are like, "Where's the good Quicksilver scenes?" Well, you're not gonna have one. You're only gonna have one tiny one because he's down and out for the whole film.
How did Quicksilver get in the MCU and X-Men?
Oh, that was an exchange by Fox and Disney. Fox and Disney went together and said, "Can we use
Skrulls?"
No, so what happened is it wasn't.
Who owned the Skrulls before?
No, Marvel's always owned the Skrulls.
Nah. They fuck it. I swear down. They bought the Skrulls.
It wasn't. I don't think it was buying the Skrulls.
I swear.
They might have done it. I'll probably check it myself. But it was something else that they exchanged. They exchanged Ego with the Negasonic Teenage Warhead. But what happened was that they had Quicksilver. Fox and Disney went together, and Disney went to Fox and said, "We want to use Quicksilver for our film." And then Fox said, we're using Quicksilver for our X-Men film because Days of Future Past had just come out. So what Fox told Disney said, fine, you can use them, but you're not using him. You're not using that Quicksilver. That Quicksilver character. Yeah. So Quicksilver is actually Magneto's son and everything, and has those kind of powers. They retconned him completely in Age of Ultron to make him as a product of the Stark Industries experiment, and he had to die in that film. Fox told him, you have to kill him off that film.
Do you think that he'll come back in the MCU?
No, he's dead.
It's a shame because Quicksilver's a pretty cool character.
You didn't see that coming. I
didn't like him in Age of Ultron, but
no one liked him in Age of Ultron, but people came to appreciate him a little bit more.
People are beginning to like Age of Ultron.
Yeah, because of what happened in Endgame. It's really interesting to see people change their minds. But yeah, that's what they did. And now Dark Phoenix is coming out, and you've got all these characters that you just don't give a shit about.
I cannot wait to record that podcast.
I can't wait to record it. I've been looking forward to shit. Well, I wouldn't say looking forward to shitting about the film, but I'm looking forward to eviscerating that film because I knew from the beginning it was going to be bad. I cannot wait to be proven right in the cinema.
When was the last bad superhero film we saw? Was it Venom?
Venom, yeah.
I'd say
no. The one that I genuinely got mad at in cinemas watching was Suicide Squad.
Didn't see it in films.
I watched that.
I don't know if I've seen a bad superhero film in cinemas. I didn't see any of the DC films in cinema, as in DCEU. I don't think
I watched Suicide Squad in the cinemas, and I wish I could take that back.
I didn't even. I know I saw Age of Ultron. It must have been Age of Ultron, but that's not even.
Yeah,
a bad
but I wouldn't
film.
say relatively. Yeah, because I was still enjoyable. But I haven't seen because I don't go into cinemas to go see films that are bad.
The Incredible Hulk. That's
true.
I saw that in film.
But then
I was a kid.
But it was just like I'm just so disappointed in general because it's like we're gonna be watching that film. And we're just gonna be laughing at how bad it is.
I'm not gonna be disappointed because I know Marvel are gonna make it into an amazing.
I'm just gonna be disappointed because it's wasted potential and it's really funny.
I think it's because it's the ending of something from your childhood, maybe.
Yeah.
Because it's like.
Oh no, I treat Logan as the ending, to be fair.
Oh, okay, then it doesn't matter, does it?
Yeah, but it's just that this is an epilogue, but I just wanted to see where they take it. And now Disney are going to take the hit for this because, as I don't think I've mentioned this yet on the podcast, but since Disney bought Fox, Disney now are controlling the distribution of this film.
Do you think Disney, if they could, would just not release this film?
Yeah,
if they could, like, regardless of financial...
Yeah, but they can't because it's a $200 million film.
No, but I'm saying that regardless of... If they could just wipe the fucking platform...
Yeah, they would.
They just get rid of it.
And they would. They damn well would. Like, that's why they changed the poster for the film. Like, you know that poster?
Yeah.
The original poster had that big X thing with Jean Grey on it. That was the original poster and that was what they were running with. When Disney took over distribution, they made another poster that looks like the Star Wars poster and like the Avengers posters.
Yeah.
They made that one because it was Disney taking over. And and they got that team to do it. And I was like, I just felt like I felt really funny because you'll notice it as well.
Do you reckon Disney look at Sony's Spider-Man posters and they're like, what the
They're just like,
fuck?
Stop hiring this company. Look, we have our poster company. We will give it to you.
Yeah, just fucking take it.
Yeah, it's like, just take the poster company. Stop hiring this company.
The Spider-Man poster thing, it's almost got to the point of where I'm like, they're doing this on purpose. They're doing this on purpose. I know Spider-Man doesn't need any promotion because Spider-Man's the biggest superhero. But like, it's like they must look at that and be like, this is fucking shit.
No, I think
but everyone's gonna bite. It's like it's literally like Sony are baiting the Spider-Man
but
community.
That's the thing. Sony, I made a big thread about. You saw that thread I made about posters, right?
Huge
and it's like because they hire poster agencies to work on it, and BLT have worked on really big posters in the past. So Sony thought, let's go to these guys. I'm sure they can make a good poster. And that I'm pretty sure the photos that they gave this company were shit.
Yeah.
Because you can work with shit photos and you can work with stuff and make a decent post photo out of it. But if you get shit photos to start with, you are in a very horrible position.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's what happened with the Spider-Man posters. But it's like they could, when Disney took over it, Disney you'll notice as well, you know the Dark Phoenix trailers? Mm-hmm. Before, look at the first trailer and then look at the second trailer and you look how different the two are, because the first trailer was when Fox was completely in charge of the film.
Yeah.
The second trailer, Disney started taking over. Then the third trailer and all of the TV spots and all the trailers after that, that's when Disney took it over, and Disney warped the marketing to make it seem like their end game. This is the final X-Men film. Go and see it.
They're like, they are definition of polishing a turd.
Yeah, I know, but Disney are trying to save it. Disney are trying to save the marketing of the film.
I can almost admire, like, I can respect that because it's like they realize that X-Men is like a big boy. They know that they already know that it's gonna be wank, but they're like, we're gonna try our best
to get people to watch the
make
film,
the money and fucking
because it's one of the most expensive investments ever.
We just bought this, we need to start making the money back. And they're gonna make all the money back in the next 10 years.
And also Disney are taking the hit.
Disney, and I think this proves that superhero films will not go away in the next 20 years because Disney have just took a massive hit on X-Men and buying Fox in general. So they've lost a lot of money. So in the next 20 years, it's going to be
to make that back.
Big reinvestment plan. A fucking big reinvestment. And get ready for X-Men, Fantastic Four films. Get ready for mutant TV shows and all that.
That's why, because now Disney Plus is out, they can just Netflix it and have loads of shows.
They are gonna be like, people think there are too many fucking super properties right now. You don't know the fucking half of it.
7 years from now,
7 years, there is going to be, I would say, 50 superhero properties, including TV shows.
Yep.
There's 22 now, right?
Yeah.
In terms of only films, though. That's not including Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., all sorts of... And I'm just talking Marvel. I'm not talking DC.
Yeah, there's
DC
24 Marvel films.
have some big fucking plans.
And they have so many heroes as well.
And
all their TV shows, DC have so many heroes be made into TV shows as well.
And they're doing horror.
They're doing horror.
DC, we literally said we need a horror superhero film, and we're getting it.
Well, we had Brightburn.
I haven't seen it. I heard it's
disappointing.
It's
James
Gunn, isn't it?
No. He produced it.
Oh, fuck that then.
Exactly. It's like from the people who made money from this film.
It's related to Superman lore, right?
No, it's nothing related to DC, but it's a parody. I'd say it's a parody. It's a horror parody of Superman.
Wait, is it a comedy?
No. Oh. I said horror parody.
Okay.
Where it's like a play on Superman. Like they did it to take the piss out of Superman, pretty much. It's like the irredeemable.
I really want to talk about DC. I mean, do you want to record another quick one after this? We could take a 15-minute break and do a 30-minute one about DC quickly.
To be fair, I really do have to. Yeah, after this recording, I really do have to go.
You not just get an Uber?
But I need to go because it's one more. As in, we've got still one more day of
What
was it? Fasting. We have one more day, and that's it. I have to be back at 3.
Why?
Because I have to do the whole preparation thing or whatever.
Yeah, but that's in 2 hours. We can get.
Yeah, I know, but I need to get back because I got work to do as well.
Can you not do that in the morning?
No.
But I thought it'd be good if we had like 2 planned, like a quick one on DC.
We can do a quick one on DC.
I just want to talk about Robert Pattinson and Deadpool.
Oh God, I forgot the news happened. We need to talk about that.
We could do a quick one.
We will do a quick one right after this recording. Yeah,
just grab a coffee quickly, and then. But I think we've covered everything here. We've covered literally every form of X-Men right now.
Yeah, and we will. And once we watch Dark Phoenix, we'll get into more detail about it as well.
We're not going to wait a month for this one.
Yeah, we're not going to wait a month because it's literally coming out.
Nobody's going to Spain either.
Exactly, and as of this recording, Dark Phoenix is coming out in 3 days. So it's like.
So this will be out tomorrow, which is the 4th of June.
Yeah.
And then the Batman one will be out on the 6th. And
then we'll do the Dark Phoenix one straight after.
Literally straight after.
Yeah, but we'll make the Batman one really quickly.
The Batman will probably be 20 minutes.
It'll be at 20 to 30 minutes, and we'll just go like an hour, 30-minute Dark Phoenix. Because this one's gone on for really long as well.
How long?
It's like an hour and 15.
Oh, Jesus. We literally said we need to make it.
We said we don't want to make it.
But there is
a
lot to explain.
But there's a lot to dissect about this. But it's like, I really think that I just hope that Disney do good with the X-Men brand. That's all I hope.
Yeah, I think they will. There's no way they would really bottle it, I don't think.
Yeah, and I'll probably make more of my thoughts about X-Men and all that kind of stuff known by the time Dark Phoenix comes out. So if there's any thoughts that I missed in this episode, I'll probably catch up with them then. But as of this episode, though, I think we should call it time.
Yeah,
I think we should call it time. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of the Coffee Club podcast. This one, it was pretty much interesting to say the least. We'll probably is this the first one that we're like actively going to continue on another day as well?
Yeah, this is this is the part 1.
This is like pretty much the part 1 of all the X-Men Fox talk, and we're probably gonna go into more stuff later on. But as
there's
usual,
gonna be a lot of X-Men stuff.
There's a lot to say.
We've got to talk about Dark Phoenix, and in the next few months, Comic-Con's gonna happen, and they're gonna announce the next timeline of MCU films, and you never know. They may randomly be like, "Hey, we're gonna do a Fantastic Four."
Hey, remember X-Men? Yeah, we've got it there.
Like, I wouldn't. People would be like, "We're not gonna get an X-Men film for 5 years." I wouldn't be shocked if they just did
straight up. Imagine they just announced one.
I wouldn't be shocked. I mean, Captain Marvel got announced in 2014. Remember?
Yeah.
So like, would it really be the biggest shock in the world if they just announced the Fantastic Four? What do you reckon they'd do first before we end this? X-Men or Fantastic Four?
X-Men.
Yeah, I think they would do.
Yeah.
Fantastic Four is more of a group thing, whereas X-Men you can do it as part series. You can do
and also Fantastic Four has weird licensing issues.
Can you imagine, right? You see all the Phase 4 films. It's like Spider-Man 3, Captain Marvel Annihilation, and you don't like that title. Black Panther 2,
Doctor Strange
2, all that good shit. And then the final one, it's just
a 4.
No, it's just Wolverine. Everyone will lose their shit.
Yeah, no. Imagine if they did what Kevin Feige did for the announcement for Civil War. Remember,
that?
It used to be called Captain America Serpent Society. And then Kevin Feige said, "Oh wait, we're making a mistake." He snapped his fingers, and then the Serpent Society logo changed to Civil War, and everyone was like, "Yeah!"
Like, Serpent Society, like a reference to Hydra, I'm guessing.
Yeah, it was Hydra. Yeah. It was when Captain America went rogue and everything. And everyone was like, "Oh, it's called Serpent Society." Then all of a sudden, Kevin Feige was like, "Oh wait, no, that's a mistake. Can you change it?" And it just said Civil War. Everyone was like, "Oh my god!" Everyone's like screaming their heads off, like, "Oh my god, we're doing Civil War."
Did they announce Civil War and Infinity War at the same time?
Infinity War was announced,
at the same time.
Yes.
What? We are about to get that day soon. We'll definitely live stream Comic-Con. I want to go to Comic-Con.
I want to go to Comic-Con as well.
But would we be able to get tickets? Because if we could, we 100% should.
And also, Comic-Con tickets are very pricey, so it's
how much
I'd say they're in the hundreds.
If they're 300 and less, I will do it.
Yeah.
I mean, flight to New York, £200.
Yeah.
I would gladly go to Comic-Con.
Money. Oh.
Yeah, true.
Yeah,
true.
it's like.
But yeah, we'll end it here.
Yeah, we'll pretty much end it. Yeah, thank you so much for listening. As usual, we'll be on SoundCloud, iTunes, Spotify. You know the drill.
Go
that
follow
kind
our
of stuff.
Twitter _Coffee Club.
_ Coffee Club. Follow our personal Twitter. Everything will be in the description, and we will see you in another episode.
Bye.
Bye.